What's up, YouTube? It's Nth here, your exploration expert in New Eden, and today we're going to be having a first look at the Halloween Horrors event, starting now. Before we start diving in, I do just want to ask one thing. If you get any value out of this content, do consider hitting that like, comment, subscribe, doing all the YouTube stuff. It does really help out. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. All right, so we have the Halloween Horrors event. It is the new event in New Eden, and it is the return of the Crimson Harvest. What we're going to do is kind of look at their little press release here, and then we're going to dive into the details of what actually is going on in the event. So we have blood-curdling Capsuleers. Beware, Halloween is nearly upon us, and that means we're going to be having a sweet event. It is the Crimson Harvest. It is against the Blood Raiders and Order of Tetramon, and interestingly, you get to choose a side. So there's going to be combat sites, data sites, and PvP. That's kind of the real bulk of this event. And there's going to also be a little bonuses here. You get 90% PvP drops until November 9th. The event in its entirety does go for about 2 weeks. And there's going to be Omega savings as well, 15% off any of the Omega packages. Then there is also a bunch of returning and new Halloween-themed skins. So that's going to be the Mask of Terror. And that's going to be the Marshlight and Headhunter skins there. And then there is also some Deathglow skins, and you can get a few freebie Deathglow skins if you do decide to pick up any of the Plex packages. It's going to be 240, 500, 2860, or 7430. And then lastly, but not leastly, there is the Abyssal Proving Ground. This time it's going to be a 4-player destroyer free-for-all, and it is going on this weekend. And you're going to choose a T1 destroyer, and there is a interesting effect on the field. It is essentially the Blood Raiders effects. So you get stronger stasis webs, Gnosis, energy nukes, and lasers. Interestingly enough, you can't actually use any Blood Raider ships in this Abyssal Proving Ground because they have no destroyers. So with that out of the way, kind of a little press release, let's hop into the game and take a little bit closer look at all those things. All right, so now that we're in game, let's go ahead and first take a look at your daily rewards, everyone's favorite. So the Halloween Horrors event does have 9 days of rewards in a 12-day event, so you can miss a few days and not miss out. And what these rewards are is essentially a bunch of Deathglow skins, and then some weird boosters and a little bit of skill points as well. So what I mean by weird boosters is these are boosters that we haven't really seen before. They give weird effects, which they've been kind of doing pretty recently. You get like weapon disruptor resistance, or you get Gnosis improvement or webbing range increase. So kind of weird things like that. And you can also get more of these, we'll call them strange boosters, as loot in the event sites, including one that gives you a resistance bonus. And I think that one's kind of probably the coolest one I've seen, I think. But do keep an eye out for them. Check them out and see if you see any that are really interesting. You also get the Deathglow skins, a good collection of them. They are pretty cool skins. You can take a quick look at a few of them. This one's for the Stabber, nice little T1 cruiser there. And they kind of have this prominent skull feature. And then they got a nice little gradient from red to yellow, or gold even. You can also look at the Armageddon, which is the Omega kind of big skin for this event. And I think that looks pretty freaking cool. So I will enjoy getting that one for sure. And that is the daily rewards that you can expect. With that out of the way, let's talk about the actual event tracker. So when you first load this up, you are going to have a choice between Tetramon and Blood Raiders. And sadly, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of information on those, but that's why you're here. We're going to give you that information that you're looking for. So the main differences between these two is your rewards that you get and how you get your points. But it's also pretty minimal about those different changes. So we'll look at them here. The rewards track is essentially a collection of 2 sets of skins. So for the Order of Tetramon, you're going to be able to get some Sarum skins, such as these. They're kind of like these beautiful gold and red accented skins. I really do quite like them. And then you're also going to be getting some Artichoper skins. And these are, let's just say, they're a little less lustrous. So the main difference here is you're going to get them on mostly Navy issue ships, which replaces just kind of this black matteness with this greenish gold color, the Tetramon colors. So, I mean, if you love Order of St. Tetramon, go for it. You're going to love these skins. It'll give you a little bit more flavor. But if you're looking for maybe a little flashier skin, yeah, maybe not the greatest. And then on the Blood Raiders side, you're going to get a set of the Iron Bloods and Blood Raiders skins. So we can take a look at like the Punisher Blood Raider skin. Instead of the Sarum, you'd get a Blood Raider one. And then, interestingly enough, for the Blood Raiders ship line, you will start getting the Iron Blood skins. So again, if you choose Order of St. Tetramon, you're going to be getting some skins for the Navy ships. If you choose Blood Raiders, you're going to be getting skins for the Blood Raiders ships. And this is the Iron Blood skin for the Ashimu, which I think just looks really nice. So if you do like using the Blood Raider ships, or if you like looking at the Iron Blood skins, you might want to consider going with the Blood Raiders. And then the way you get these points is, again, very similar. And so there are the combat and the data site. And there are 2 versions of each of these sites. There's going to be the Blood Raider one and the Order of St. Tetramon one. They are essentially identical, a few differences, but they're not really anything to worry about. So you're going to fly around, and you're going to choose to go to either a Tetramon base or a Crimson Gauntlet. And again, it's very similar. So it's just basically you look for the right one and you go to it. And then in the event that you are doing the exploration or hacking version, you're pretty much just going to do them all because doing the actual site doesn't take very much time. It's mostly like the finding them, scanning them down, and all that. So you just kind of go out, you do it, and then if it was the one that you needed, you get the points for it. But that's kind of like the little twist on this year's event, the Blood Raider and Order of Tetramon. So you pretty much are just choosing what skins that you want. And then something that it's a little bit side interesting is that this is the first time that Capsuleers have been able to officially align themselves with a pirate faction. And interesting that they chose the Blood Raiders, arguably one of the most vile of the pirate factions, to be able to ally with as the first one for Capsuleers. But that's a little bit of a side note. So with that kind of all out of the way, let's talk about the sites. The sites in this event are a little bit more confusing than we're used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. So again, because you are split up into Blood Raiders or Tetramon allies, you're going to want to try and do the opposing factions' sites because you're killing them or you're stealing their stuff. So whatever site you go into, there's essentially just the Blood Raider version or the Tetramon version, very similar in what you do. And you can also find all of these sites, so the combats, the datas, in everywhere in New Eden. So again, the high sec sites are going to be the same as the low sec, as the null sec, as the wormhole for combat and data, with the caveat that there are 2 very special areas, that being Derelict low sec and then Delve Blood Raiders controlled NPC space. And in those special areas, you can get the harder versions, the more lucrative versions of both the combat and data sites. And again, there are 2 versions for every variety because that's going to be the Blood and the Tetramon. And then lastly, if that wasn't enough, you can actually get a combat escalation if you are doing the advanced combat sites in those special areas. So kind of with that all the way, let's talk about the data sites. So the standard data site is going to be a level 3, and it is going to be called a Crimson Harvest network node, or alternatively, a Tetramon network node. So it's a level 3 site, you scan it down, you warp onto it. The interesting thing about it is that it is a very difficult can to hack. So it is actually a red node, the hardest of the cans that we know of. And so do be ready to handle that hack. Again, it is only one can, and you can try it as many times as you need to succeed. It's not going to blow up or anything or do any damage. You're good there. And then what you can expect to get out of it is kind of like a lower baseline is like 3 million, but you can also get a lot of different goodies in it, and they can pay out quite well. So I think even over 100 million ISK in a single can is definitely possible in these standard sites. So after the standard site, if you're looking to up your data hacking game, you might want to go over to the special areas and do the harder sites. They are called hubs, and they are level 4 data sites. When you warp onto them, it looks very much the same. There's one can. You can cloak anywhere on that site, so do be aware that PvP might happen to you, especially with the 90% drops. And the interesting and scary thing about this can is that it's the hardest can we've ever seen. It is a red node, but not only that, it is essentially a level above the standard red node. So it's going to have 120 health, and then also all of the other nodes in that board are going to be really souped up. So if you're not really packing the data strength and health, then you might want to consider bringing a little something beefier. But again, you can hack that as many times as you want and get the loot there. And that loot is going to be substantially better. So probably about like 30 million on average per can. I saw a lot of cerebral accelerators and just other goodies that you might want to be looking out for. Cold iron skins, headhunter skins, things of that nature. Lastly, let's talk about the combat sites. So again, there are the standard combat sites and the more difficult advanced ones. You can find these just on your probe scanner. Once you warp to them, they do make a celestial beacon. If you're familiar with last year's combat sites, they're very familiar and kind of samey. There are 3 rooms. You have the option of skipping the second room if you can get a key. You get the key by kind of killing the boss, or I hear that maybe any wreck could drop the key. Don't know how true that is, but you might want to check it out. And then in these combat sites, they are packing a lot of damage and a lot of E-War. Basically everything under the sun except for jamming. So you're going to be neutralized, you're going to be pointed, scrammed, webbed, disrupted. And so you do kind of need to take all of these things into account. It can be a very deadly area, and it is suggested to bring at least kind of a well-fit battleship, maybe even a pirate battleship, a marauder, or something like a T3C or heavy assault cruiser, or a couple friends, and a couple friends. So we can kind of take a quick little look at a Loki here. This is what Urschlag was using to run the sites. Nothing too fancy. It's pretty cheap as well. And just it will get the job done, certainly. But you do want to make sure that you're taking care of like having some way of dealing with the nuke pressure. So you got a large cat battery, as well as the subsystem for the Loki. You can go with missiles. They are mainly cruisers and frigates in the site, so you do want to definitely have some application in there as well. So you got like a target painter there. And then the damage that you want to do is pretty much anything. It's going to be preferred to do thermal, but it's not like a huge issue if you can't do thermal for some reason. And then the damage they do to you is again pretty uniform. So using an armor ship and getting something like a reactive armor hardener is definitely worth your time there. Again, if you are going to be going into the more battleship size classes, you're going to definitely need to think about application. Maybe a Typhoon could be good for you. There's a lot of different ships that could get the job done. I've seen definitely a Rattlesnake is a good favorite. I've seen a Vargur, a Loki seems to be a pretty good one. I haven't really seen any hacks. I'm sure you could probably get away with it, but you want to definitely consider your capacitor resistance, or maybe run like an Ansil shield booster. So it's just something to think about. There are definitely lots of fits. You can check those out on the internet. I personally am not maybe the greatest guide for that, more exploration focused, but you can certainly find something that works for you. There's lots of different options, which I do like for these sites. And a last little thing about the combat sites is that, again, this is kind of a PvP event, so do be aware, do be cautious. Things like recon cruisers are great at maybe disrupting you just a little bit, kind of pushing you over the edge. So if you are a little bit spooked because it's Halloween, maybe bring a friend to help you out. That's always a good plan. And I will say lastly that this event is harder, right? So if you are newer to the game, it's definitely going to be pretty hard for you. I kind of hate to say it, but it might not be possible. You could probably get away with like some praxis or something, but you're gonna definitely want to bring maybe a little bit more experienced people, and just reach out to your corp and maybe you can get some help there. So that's about it. Pretty juicy event, I'd say. It's going to be a really fun 2 weeks. Definitely going to get into a lot of PvP action probably this weekend. Hope you are as well. And it should be probably pretty lucrative if you're looking to make some good money, and just going to have a good fun time. So I hope to see you out there. I've been Nth-Dimensional. It's been great to check this out, get the information out for you ASAP. As always, this is a first look, so things may change. We may get some more information. There was a lot to go over, and hopefully I did at least a little bit of justice. And yeah, hope you had a great time. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.